Welcome back. Today we'll be featuring a world-renowned Canon Ambassador and his take on the Sony Alpha 1. I would like to welcome Camron Geng. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Let's get right into it. As a Canon user, what do you think about the Sony A1?
It's not all that different from the R5. The R5 gives me 99% of the performance for 60% of the cost. It's a steal when you think about it. With the leftover funds, I can short GameStop.
What do you think about the Sony's stacked sensor and the impact it has on photography?
Canon has a stacked sensor coming, and it's certainly gonna beat Sony. They've been waiting for Sony to release a stacked sensor so they can steal their thunder. Duh.
This technology has been around since 2017 in the A9.
The one on the A9 was slow. It wasn't even usable. Tony Northrup said so.
But wasn't it faster than the R5?
Are we talking about the A1 or what? The Canon R5 is basically the same camera.
The fast sensor readout of the Sony Alpha 1 with the silent electronic shutter has little to no issues with rolling shutter and banding, allowing the camera to be more useful in quiet venues such as churches, conferences, etc. What's your take on that?
Well, the Canon R5 has a mechanical shutter, and I could use that anytime I want to. The shutter noise isn't even that big of a deal. I don't remember the last time somebody complained about it. If they're not complaining, it's not a problem. Real photographers do this all the time.
What do you think about 30 frames per second at 50 megapixels?
Canon does 20. 30 is overkill. Nobody needs it. I'm looking for 20 frames per second, not 30. I don't need 30 frames per second.
But isn't Canon's 20 frames per second with a conventional electronic shutter, which is subject to rolling shutter and banding?
Photography is art, and banding is part of it. My Canon R5 does 12 frames per second as long as I have a full battery. Nobody needs 30 frames per second for the models I shoot. Back in the heyday, we used to use film, and I got away with 1 frame per shot. It's called skill. You should try to learn it sometime.
Alright, moving on. What do you think about the ability to use flash with an electronic shutter?
Any camera can do flash. What's the big deal? Who cares? Sony is an electronic company. Nobody even asked for these features. Stick with TVs and laptops and phones or whatever they make. If it wasn't for Canon, the mirrorless market wouldn't be what it is today. Canon made DSLRs before Sony made mirrorless cameras, and therefore forcing Sony to make mirrorless cameras so that they can react and make their own mirrorless cameras.
Wow!
So in the end, Canon was the one that started the revolution.
Let's segue to 8K and 4K video. It appears that the Sony Alpha 1 has much more usable codecs and proxy recording. So essentially you can use 8K with your existing computer, or you could just downsample to 4K straight off the bat. What's your take on this?
Upgrade your PC for God's sake. Why aren't you using the latest iMac Pro? God. Transcoding only takes a few hours. It's not even a big deal. Complete non-issue.
And what's your opinion on the ability to dual record with the Alpha 1?
Buy 2 cameras. Have a second shooter. I've never had a card fail on me before anyhow. I don't get why you're concerned about this. Back when we had film, it was just 1 roll of film at a time. These cards, they're bulletproof. It's not like you could leave them at home on accident or accidentally delete files. That doesn't ever happen if you're a real pro. It doesn't happen. Aside from that, nobody wants to shoot with this tiny little dinky body. Bigger is better, and the R5 is bigger, and it's definitely better. The R1 is definitely going to be bigger, better, built like a tank. This camera doesn't even have a flippy screen or an integrated grip. What are you paying for? If it doesn't have an integrated grip, it simply is not a pro camera. It's a toy camera. Pros are going to be banging this thing up and down all around. The bigger the camera, the more it can bang. It's clear that Sony is playing catch up, and they failed badly here. The Canon R5 is essentially the same thing.
Thank you so much for your opinion, Camron.
No problem. The pleasure is mine.
And there you have it. The Canon R5 is essentially the same as the Sony Alpha 1, excluding these minor details. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.